when you're first starting off, I think the most important thing is actually properly prioritizing what's genuinely most important. Because
this is what you tell the client: you get money when you die. This is how much it is, and this is how much you pay. That's it. So welcome to the Agent Q&A. You got your host here, John. We got Joanne. We got Albert in the house. So we're going to go with your questions first, and then we're going to follow up with a couple of our questions. Anybody have anything specific they want to go over, anything on your mind or anything with the contracting products? Feel free to unmute now so we can address those. We're good? No questions? All right, so we're going to go into our questions.
drop it in the chat if you guys.
Right, feel free. There. And then if anything from what you guys hear from this, you guys want us to elaborate on, or something sparks your mind and you're asking a question, feel free to either chat or unmute and we'll go from there. So we have here to learn. All right, thanks, Jacob. So here is our main topic for today. So sometimes we get a lot of agents. They get stuck more on the preparation of the work duties rather than actually taking a real good time with preparation about the business. Okay, so what do I mean by this? We focus way too much, way too much on, let me learn the script. Let me learn the dial. Let me find out what the best lead is. Well, before we go into that detail, how about we spend a little bit more time about preparing ourselves into a business, right? Where do you see yourself in the opportunity? Where do you see yourself as either a CEO? What role do you see yourself in? Are you going to be a worker bee? Are you going to be just a personal producer versus learning to grow a team? So when you started, you knew right away, okay, I'm going to grow an agency, right?
Yep.
So what key advice would you say then? What are good advices for a beginner agent to have a proper, better business plan?
Well, for myself, I mean, I think it's 6 years now.
Uh-huh.
So the things when I came in here, had 11 years of experience in the insurance field. I knew specifically what I wanted. I knew specifically what I didn't want. And I knew that I wanted to come in and build an agency because it's not, I know I can sell.
Yep.
So that was never really the concern. It was more like, and that's the easiest part for me because I can control my activity. I can invest to leads. I know how much time I put into it, how many people I speak to, that there's a direct correlation how much money I'll be able to make. Right. So I understand those variables. And so then it was more about how do I, like, ultimately, what do I want out of this thing?
Right.
And I want to make a big impact. And then for me to be able to go out and just see one client, one after another, I can only help so many people. Now, if I'm able to multiply my efforts and recruit, train, and then, develop people, then it allows me to have a much greater reach. I'll be able to help more clients out there. And then more importantly, like, I get to help agents that were looking for a better opportunity or looking for a way to make more income, side income, primary income, big income, whatever it is, have free time. I can teach them to be able to be self-sufficient.
So what would you say if you had like 3 objectives then, starting brand new? So, because I think if we don't have these objectives, we're just learning to learn. We're just learning to do the process, right? But okay, what if you learn the process? What do you do with the process? You don't have a big goal in mind. We don't have a proper expectation of the end in mind with it, right? So what would you say? Did you have any primer objectives?
Yeah. So ironically, even though my goal to come in was to build a team, not so much focus on personal production, the first thing I did was personal production. Right. Because the thing is, I recognize, look, if I'm coming into this, and I came in with my doubts. Yeah. I came in a little skeptical and not because of this opportunity, because my buddy Jack brought me in. Mm-hmm. So he like, I trusted him. I met Andrew, met Paul, met Sean, Mike, met a bunch of people, and I was like, okay, I mean, like, everything sounds good. My hesitation and my reluctance was entirely based off of my past experiences.
Yeah,
because
we came from trauma.
Well, we're survivors, man.
We're survivors, man. We had some issues with our old company, man.
Yeah, and the biggest thing was it wasn't that you couldn't make money in the insurance industry. It wasn't that this isn't a real thing, or it's you can't make money in sales. Everything had to do with the fact that the agency that we worked with, it was never consistent with what we expected it to be. Right? Yeah. It was always like, you do this, this, and this, and you'll be able to get this. But it was always, you do this, this, and this, you follow to a T, but then they change up the conditions whenever they choose to.
Right.
And so like the opportunity kept changing based off of someone else above me and their whims.
Right.
Right. So I couldn't control that to that degree. So I just wanted to come over here to make sure that I'm able to, it is what they say they promise it to be, right?
Okay.
That's all I need. I just need that opportunity and let the expectations be clear and let me just do my thing. So, coming in, I just knew personal production had to be the first thing, because no matter how many people I bring in, if the set of the environment is not what I promised it to be or what they promised me to be for it to be, then I'm bringing a bunch of people in to set them up for failure.
Mm.
And, I care about my personal reputation in terms of the people that I work directly with. So I needed to make sure, number one, that the products were what I thought they were going to be, that the commissions paid out as expected, because the comp was way higher than what we're used to.
Right. So it's too good to be true, right?
There's something wrong with this, right? I got to make a few sales so I can get paid to make sure that it's legit.
Right.
And then more importantly, I just wanted to be able to have some practical experience to be able to teach my agents, instead of, hey, I'm going to bring a bunch of people in. And then when they ask me questions, I'm like, I don't know, man. I go ask somebody else. And not that I need to know everything, because I think that's a big misnomer in this business too. A lot of times people say I'll start hiring when I learn the business, when I know everything. Mm-hmm. Where no, you got to be able to learn how to be resourceful and use the people around you. I mean, the carriers actually is where most agents should just reach out to them and be like, hey, I have this situation, which I've done plenty of times. When I was new, I would call them up and be like, hey, I have this scenario. I have no idea what to do. Can you teach me?
Right.
And then they'll walk you through it okay, they'll ask a few questions. They'll be like, go with this product. Here's how this works. Or you can go with this product. And I'm like, cool. And then that's really how I learned. So learning to personally produce, and then next of all, once all that was legit, then, okay, how do I bring people in and how do I set up their expectations properly? Which, I made mistakes along the way, because some people like my work wife, Lily, I brought her in and, it was difficult to work with her because I oversold the opportunity to her, and then she also came in kind of a little unwilling to change from her old mindset of what she expected from before to think that it was going to be exactly the same without being as open-minded. So, I mean, we both could have handled that situation better, but reality is it was my fault because that's all I can control.
Right.
Whatever her issues was, that's on her.
Okay. So key objectives, getting back is learning the business, building the credibility, knowing the products so you can actually scale.
Right.
But overall, you had a big picture is before I learn all this, because that's where I feel like new agents are getting stuck on.
Right.
They're learning to learn, but what is the end in mind? Your end in mind is I'm going to scale, I'm going to build.
Yep.
So let me learn how to do it. Let me teach other people how to do it. And let me be the support role too of product information along with the carriers.
Right. Let me get some hands-on experience so I can actually teach from a place of actual experience rather than theoretical.
Okay.
I think that helps build credibility for one, but also, I mean, I'm just a nerd. I need to know this stuff myself.
Right.
So, and I enjoy the learning process of it. Also the third key thing that I needed to learn when I came in here was learn how to manage my money.
Okay.
Because it was when you came in, commissions are great. So then you start making money. You're like, it's always going to keep coming in like this.
Yeah.
No need to save this. And then, let me go and invest into recruiting for this. Let me take everyone out to lunch. Let me pay for this. Let me pay for that. Let me take care of all this other stuff. And then you're like, oh wait, I'm not running as many appointments as I did when I first started. So I'm not making as much money. And then now it's like, yeah, that's a mistake. So now I can speak a little bit with more actual experience to teach agents to manage their money better.
Yeah. It's true because we make and flip money so fast. It's tough to conceptually think I need to ration out when you can always make more. Right. But looking at it from a bigger picture in mind, talk about the speed you had to learn. Because I think that's also the pace we're having an issue with, right? If you're focused on learning, well, what's your time frame? If you're not thinking about your business in I need to learn to make money this so I could train here by this time, you're always going to be stuck on just learning.
Yeah, not actually doing anything. Right.
Right.
Well, I'm a fast learner too, and then more I like to think is God given to a degree.
Yeah.
I pick up concepts and I know how to string together information, at a reasonable rate.
Okay.
Right. You say I'm decent at that at the very least, right?
Right.
But more importantly, I think the reason why I've learned as quickly as I did, because the thing is, my goal was I got to run some appointments, so I have practical experience, and I can start hiring people and teach them what to expect. But it really took me a week and a half, 2 weeks to learn everything. All the basics anyway.
Okay.
And the reason for that, it's not because of just my cognitive ability. It had really everything to do with the fact that, all right, this is the direction I'm going. I made a definitive decision. I'm just go with it. I spent $1,800 on my first pack of leads, and then I just book a bunch of appointments. And I ran 20 appointments in the first 2 days.
So before you did all of that, did you pick up a script? Did you do anything?
I looked at scripts, but then also coming from a sales background, I'm like, the script's important, but you can have it in front of you. You just got to understand the basics of what you're trying to get across. And then more importantly, for us with experience, it's like, you got to try to explain certain things and try to avoid objections before they occur. So I knew the basic principles of it, but I didn't get mired in, I need to memorize this script before I do it. And especially now with telesales and virtual sales, like the clients, you can literally read off a paper. So you don't need to memorize anything, but it's always good practice to get familiar with it so you can just let it roll. And
Yeah. When I was coming in, it's a little bit opposite where we came in, we had management background. But in our old company, we were doing a lot of BS work that didn't amount to any production.
Yeah.
Doing these meetings doesn't necessarily equate to more income, to a better management into the business. Right. So we were doing I would say.
So you're doing things that aren't making you money?
I would say we were adding 15 to 20 hours of useless time.
Yeah.
Right. So when I came in, I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I create the most efficient time for myself so I have more freedom and time on other things, right? Spend it on myself. So if you guys are brand new agents, just maybe even think about just a goal of what is your income goal and how fast can you create that income goal? So I set a target. What if I can make $10,000 a month? Easy, right? 10,000. If I can do enough appointments, get enough sales, that's the process, right?
Yeah.
So I kept it very simple for me to where, how do I get to 10,000? Well, there's all these scripts, but forget about learning all that. I just need to get in front of people. Okay. So however way you say it, whether I'm door knocking, whether I'm getting a phone appointment, if I'm in front of people, I just knew that I have an opportunity to sell.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with the high commissions that we have, if you reverse engineer that, okay, well, what if you sell 2 to 3 a week? Then you get to 10,000. Okay. So now I kept it very simple where if I could do that, then think about all the time I have left if I get that perfected. Right. So think bigger about the idea of what you want out of this. So what you're working for, the processes you're working on gets you either excited versus gets you stuck. Right. Because you get just stuck on, well, let me learn about this product. What's that going to do if you're not in front of anybody?
So that was your mindset to get more efficient and get the results you want in a shorter period of time.
Right. And then as your income comes up, of course, now you understand there's levels to the business.
Switch your goal.
Right. Now you're thinking about, okay, well, shoot, forget 10,000. I started going to these trainings. These people are making 20, 30, 40, 50 in a month. Well, now that opens up a new idea. Well, how do I get the most efficient to get to $50,000 a month, to $100,000 a month? Now you start hearing from trainings. Well, you got these millionaires in here. Right. Well, how do we become a millionaire? We're in the same boat, right? So what I want to get out of this now is for agents to really identify where their personality is, where they see themselves in the business, how can they merge that, and how can they be happy from that? Because if you don't find the happiness or the end in mind, we're just working to work. What's the difference between this opportunity and a W-2 work? Yeah, you kind of got to set your alarm, drag yourself to work. It doesn't make sense, right? You're not happy to start the day.
Yeah, you really got to know why you're getting to this. I mean, funny enough, when you're talking about efficiency and trying to get to your end result in a shorter period of time, so you have more free time, because you were all about gym at the time.
Yeah, man.
All about being able to just go F off and do what you want.
Have fun, travel.
Which nothing wrong with that,
right?
But ironically, my aforementioned work wife Lily, so she's the one that trained me my first time into sales, taught me about insurance, taught me about everything. So I owe a lot of my success to her. Mm-hmm. But the ironic thing is, so she's been in the business for 20 years. She's the number one producer of all time, number one female producer of all time within her company, our former company. And so the thing is, like, she always talked about how when she hit her 20 years, she was going to semi-retire.
Yeah,
because she was a machine, right? Like every time we're like, hey, let's go grab lunch, let's go do whatever. And she's like, nope, got to work, right? So she was a machine. She was unrelenting with her schedule. She would never make any compromises. So I deeply admired her for that commitment.
Yeah, she has a strong discipline.
Yeah.
Because for me, someone said like happy hour, I'm like, see you there.
Yep.
But you know, the thing is, once she hit her 20 years, she said she was going to semi-retire. So then she just hit her 20 years. And then, so then like this year, we haven't even talked that much because I've been working and she's been traveling and partying and doing whatever she wants to do.
Right.
And so like, we finally had a conversation, you know, a week ago. And I was like, how's everything been since you've been semi-retired? Are you working way less? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so how's business going? I'm like, has it been a weird transition? Cause like, you've been so used to working all the time. Do you not know what to do with your own time anymore? And then she was, you know, the funny thing is I've always hated working, but she tells everyone how much she hates working, and working is not the reason why anyone should live. Mm-hmm. But she was so committed to her schedule because of the fact that she recognized in order for her to be able to not work, she needs to work really hard in order for her to live, and live with that high quality of life that she desires and she maintains. So she worked hard for 20 years to build up that money, to stack that paper, to get to the point where she doesn't really need to work,
right? But
she's still kind of just doing it out of just sheer routine and habit and all that stuff. Yeah. So I was like, cool. So you're working. She's like, stuff happened in life where, you know, we had a close friend pass away, and she wanted to make more of an effort to go and spend time with friends and not you know, push them off because they're like, oh, I got to work. So she's been able to do a lot more of that. She's found that fulfilling. And I was like, how about production? I mean, you still about doing the same? She goes, yeah. She goes, I'm doing just about the same level of production as I always have, but in a much less shorter time frame. Then I'm like, that really is like the 10,000 hour rule, right?
Right.
So, you know, that's
the mastery.
Yeah. It's like all those reps, all that experience. The thing is, you don't even think about it anymore. It's just, you get the same level of results in a much shorter period of time with less effort because you put in that work. At the end of the day, we got to put in the work.
Yeah. So when you look at it though, you got to understand, like Jocko Willink always says that discipline equals freedom.
Right.
Because if you really get disciplined to this business, you will master it. And as you master it, you get efficient. And when you get efficient, it takes you less hours and time to do what you're normally doing, maybe from a 40-hour work week to now 20 hours to maybe 10 hours. Right? You get really, really efficient to it. But to get there, you got to have the ambition. You got to have the goal in mind to get you started and get you rolling, right? Right. If you guys enjoy, I'm saying it too many times.
Thanks for joining us so far. That's all I remember.
We can continue to share with other people. We probably need to redo it, right? Hey guys, thanks for joining us. If you guys have found this stuff helpful up to this point, or you guys would like to see some other stuff,
please like and subscribe and create a comment so we can cover that next topic.
And continue watching the show.
Yeah. Any input from you, Joe?
No, like I agree with what both of you guys are saying. I think that the little bit of a difference though would be that both of you guys come from having the previous experience with the previous company, you know, but a lot of these agents don't have the experience of, you know, a basic phone call, or they don't, some of them just, you know, but I want to say that majority of the people that do come into the industry, they're coming into it because they do care, or they do see a value in it, you know. But ultimately I do see that a lot of the agents, because they haven't been previously exposed to insurance, so maybe they take a little bit longer in terms of like training and in terms of like trying to find all this information to feed themselves before actually getting started, right? So that's why I was asking you guys, like, what did you guys do before actually getting started? You guys didn't really have to pick up an actual script like we give our new agents, right? Mm-hmm. Or you guys didn't have to cover all of that initial training or all of that kind of stuff that we have going on for them. But I really wanted to ask you guys that because I think it's really important that everybody kind of understands that you guys do get to get better, and you guys get to get better by actually doing and putting into practice all of these different things, right? So you do have to get on the phone calls and you do have to, buy your leads and you do have to run into all of these different situations that are going to help you pivot and are going to help you educate yourselves on how you can be a better agent for your client, right? So I think that along with all the training that we have, I think it's really important for people to just like feel that they can be plugged in ASAP to the system because everything is readily available. And then the really cool thing too is that Albert is really, I mean, he doesn't, I know he called himself a nerd, but I think he's like beyond a nerd when it comes down to like to all of this like carrier knowledge stuff, because he does really he is a person that, puts into practice what he's saying. He does hop on the live dials. We do hear him, go through all of the rebuttals and all of the objections, just like JP and some of the other guys that hop on there, So I think that in efforts for everybody to kind of be successful at a faster rate, I would just say don't be afraid, jump right into making those phone calls, jump right into making those, doing your reps, because if you guys don't put in those reps, you guys are not going to be as successful as you guys want.
Yeah. So what I want to see more is the speed and urgency of an agent from getting onboarded to actually writing a first piece of business, right? Yeah, because I think that
there may be some kind of, I don't know, miscommunication when it comes down to that little portion, not even miscommunication, but that sense of fear in our new agents to get started, right? Because in actuality, the system is really super easy to get plugged into. Everybody's super easy to answer any questions, and yeah. And I think that's a really cool thing that we can all, within our agency, we have agents everywhere, but everybody can reach out to anybody for any kind of question. So
I think that's a really good point, actually, because I think when you're first starting off, I think the most important thing is actually properly prioritizing what's genuinely most important. Because is script how important is
most important is
how important is product knowledge?
It's not.
How important is a business card?
Yeah, right.
How important is branding? How important is any of that stuff? Because the thing is, you just got to get your reps in.
Yeah,
you just got to do some dials. Get beat up on the phone, get hung up on, get cussed out, get all that. Because the thing is, when you're talking about all of our prior experience before coming here, you said we had some phone skills. We learned some about the scripts. We learned some about products and just insurance and general information. But in reality, it's actually not anything to do with our knowledge of how things work.
Yeah,
it's actually entirely based off of
practice
or our having gone through that to recognize none of this stuff's actually that important.
Yeah.
So then we're okay, let's just get our phone calls in. Let's just get our appointments in. Let's just do enough presentations, because none of this stuff is actually genuinely that important. Like we thought it was initially, because we're got to learn the script, got to be able to do this, got to do that. That's going to solve everything for me. Reality, it's also, I got to get in and make my mistakes.
Yeah. And then also what John was saying is doing all of these other things like you guys were doing at your previous company, which is not really making you any money. So then I think sometimes when, and I haven't gotten good at getting back on my calls in the afternoons, but I do think of it that way, where it's dude, well, what are you actually doing to
what is your most productive time?
Yeah. What are you actually doing when you're saying that you're focusing on your insurance gig or your insurance business? What are you actually doing in your insurance agency that's actually giving you money? What's actually paying you? Are you actually doing anything that's paying you or paying your efforts in being a life agent, right? So it's
that's a good question.
We can be training as much as you want, but when you really sit there and you think and you ask yourself, am I really getting paid to read the script 20 times? No, you're actually not getting paid to read the script 20 times. You're not getting paid to, sit there and try to look at all this product knowledge and you're not getting paid for all that. So try to do the stuff that's actually going to pay you.
Which is getting in front of clients.
Yeah, which is just picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you want to ask yourself that question, because the thing is, obviously, everyone's objective is to get paid because it signifies you're doing a good job at what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. Means you're effective at it. But sometimes we don't even know what we don't know. So I guess the question that new agents should be posing to themselves is this moving me closer to where I want to be? Whatever I'm doing, is this moving me closer or is it moving me further away? Right. Because sometimes it's just sometimes your main objective is not necessarily, I need to do this to make X amount of money right away, because people have a different learning curve. People have different financial situation coming in. I would assume everyone wants to make money, but that may not always be the biggest priority. For me, it's never been about the money. It's always about, how do I learn the fastest? How many mistakes do I need to make to get to where I want to get to?
Get your result faster.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a good reality check. Sometimes it's just a procrastination of really doing the real work of dialing and the hard part of dialing, of getting the phone slammed on you and all these things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I still do it at times. I mean,
yeah, we procrastinate all the time.
Yeah. So I think there's no better way of learning than actually like getting on the calls or getting in front of people and doing presentations, because everybody we speak to has like a different need. Everybody gives you a different rebuttal. Everyone has different objections. Everyone's conversation is different. So
yeah, it reminds me back of the first objective from all the sales conferences that they always talked about. Get to your 100 appointments as fast as you can, right? No matter how when you started, but if you got 100 appointments, guess how much mastery you'd have by then. Right? You've already learned it's the same objections, it's the same rebuttals, same repeated things that the clients will say. They don't think of new things to say. So if you can master 100 appointments, do you need a month? Do you need 2 weeks? Or can you do that in a week? And then boom, that's it. You're off and running. And everything else, product knowledge, all these little things will come in place.
It's funny.
Yeah, and when it comes down to product knowledge, honestly, like we have it so easy.
Yeah.
Because number one, we have the GroupMe. Number two, we have all the information on the Google Drive for you guys when it comes down to the sheets. I mean, we have a bunch of sheets on there that just tell you which carrier will take anybody with like their medical conditions and stuff like that. And then you guys have like your VPs. All the VPs are really good at answering their phones. I mean, Albert answers his phone and he knows who you guys should go with ASAP.
Which, I mean, we also have that flow chart.
Yeah.
You stick with Americo, Prosperity, AIG.
You're good.
That's all you really know. Like, for as much as I know, I still stick to those three.
I'm very blunt. When I get a new,
well, I know for sure. Well,
when I get a new agent asking me questions, what about this? This is what you tell the client. You get money when you die. And then this is how you tell them, this is how much it is, and this is how much you pay. That's it. That's your product knowledge. How much do I pay? $50. What happens to it? Pays for your burial. There goes your product knowledge, right? Your mortgage is taken care of. Your money grows.
Because sometimes people will be like, I just want to learn the product thoroughly. I want to know how these writers work. I want to know
what are these app fees?
Sometimes
you don't even, but sometimes as an agent, you don't even end up writing that carrier or that product. Right. Like, so yeah. So
when an agent chooses to focus on these things, I need to know all this stuff before I actually start presenting it. It's actually that agent's avoidance behavior. Like they're trying to figure out a way, like, how do I stall because I'm not ready to get started yet? Which I don't know. I guess you got to go back to thinking about like, why are you doing this? How quickly do you want to get started? And like, why do you want to stay in this this gray zone for
that's kind of sucks though for that person, because it's like because initially as an agent, like when you're joining the agency, that you're gonna have to call people, you're gonna have to reach out to them, you're gonna have to get on conversation with them to like do the underwriting or whatnot, right? So
sometimes I feel bad. Yeah. Like I would see somebody over prepare. And I just know it's like, dude, I already know in the back of your head, you're procrastinating from dialing because there's probably a fear of rejection. And when you finally do start calling, dude, I could see you like quitting in about a week. So you'll take 2 weeks to prepare. And I'm like, I'm probably not going to see you talk or have any conversations on GroupMe or live dials ever again in about a week. Like, I already know your personality. You're like, well, man.
It's sometimes it's counterproductive because of the fact it's the longer that you draw out the process, the longer you have idle time to sit around and overthink it.
Yeah.
So now you're creating like a worse off scenario. You're making it more difficult than it needs to be for yourself rather than just diving in like all those parents that you see in videos who just toss their newborns into the pool.
That's me, man.
Have you done it with your kids?
Well, I toss them, but yeah.
Well, you toss them now, but that's just because you're a jerk. But
I'm like, can they even swim, John?
A couple of weeks ago, I taught Ellie how to jump off the ledge. She always jumps on me just playing around. She freaking jumped on me while I'm in the water and her face landed right in the back of my head. And I'm all laughing. She's crying, bawling out of control. People were like, oh my God. I'm just laughing at her. Well, did it hurt? You probably won't do that again.
Like her head bonked?
Yeah, and right on her glasses on her cheek. I'm just laughing. Why would you jump on me?
Yeah.
But that's my parental role.
Yeah.
See how it goes. So I still remember my first presentation. I just said, forget the script, man. I know how to sell. I'm going to do what I can. I just got to get in front of people. So I had this like mortgage protection lead. She was like 78, 77. I started doing the presentation outside and man, she had all these medical complications. I didn't know a lick of product knowledge. And I just said, can I ask for water? I'm with a new agent too. I'm training her. Can I ask for some water? And then she goes to get water. I started looking at her, started laughing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just look at her. I don't know what this show. I don't know what she qualifies for. And she was like panicking. She's like, what the hell are we going to do? I'm just laughing. Hey, we'll figure it out. Just like 77 with, we're in California. Right. She got a brand new mortgage. It's just like 400,000, 500,000. Like, how do I sell to like a whole life to her?
Here, we started.
Yeah, when I started. Needless to say, I didn't sell, but that was a learning lesson. Now I know what to say the next time.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter of, do we want to break things, make something happen and break things, or do we want to over prepare and like shelter ourselves from like all the possible scenarios? It's never going to happen. You're never going to have all that.
You'll psych yourself out if you over prepare.
Yeah. So I learned from there. I'm all like, okay, so that's that part. Now I know how to sell the seniors from then on.
I mean, those are the best ways to learn too, because like that moment, that moment when you're like
panicking,
oh, crap, and then you just feel the beads of sweat rolling down.
You'll never forget. Like you'll never. Forget.
I didn't even sweat. I was like, dude, I'm already shot in the water.
You would never forget. If you could have sold her, you would never forget what product you sold her with.
Well, I gave up on that one.
Well, cognitively, I mean, that's how our brains work too. Like if you want to create these neural pathways to remember certain things, like there has to be if there's an emotional attachment to it, then all of a sudden like. It sears into your memory faster.
Yeah, it got anchored.
Because if you're just reading about it theoretically without having actually done it, without having any emotion behind it, you may or may not remember it that quickly.
Yeah. That's true. But going to any other topics on that side?
You have a question? What's the question, Bryce? Yeah, please.
Go, Bryce.
So we have a question from Ray
Douglas.
Ray Douglas. When it comes to managing your revenue, how do you divide it up? I am thinking I need to break it in between reinvestment into the business, leads/systems, savings/revenues, and then revenue for personal use. Is that the best perspective, or am I missing anything?
She's doing good, man. It's a good idea. So this is like forward thinking about your business. Okay, what am I going to
pre-planning his finances with it? Yeah.
How do I spend it on my personal side?
For me, I mean, that's a great question. And I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you're thinking about it because I wasn't that forward thinking when I started.
Like I said, let's go break things. Let's go make some more. Oh shoot, we'll see if we got more money at the end of the month. So we got more days before the money ends.
When I got paid, I was spending like it was going out of style, man. I need to get rid of this. But no, what you should do is when you get paid,
it was on the rise. Yeah. Get rid of the cash.
when you get paid, the first thing you want to do is you want to reinvest back into leads immediately. I think that's the first part, because I think when people get paid, they just think I'm gonna go pay off my bills.
Right.
Yeah.
But which you can do. I mean, it's your money, but here's what's gonna happen: you pay off your bills. Your bills will never make you any more money, and then it's spent. It's gone. Now what?
Yeah.
Right. You're back in the same position. So what you should do, I mean, I'm not saying don't pay your bills, just manage it properly, reinvest back into your business first. That can make you more money. That'll be able to later on pay these bills and then be able to make additional income that you can start building up some capital, some capital, reinvest back more into your business to scale up. And then you also want to put a little bit into savings, account for taxes. IRS does not forget. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing you should do is any personal discretionary spending.
Yeah.
So that means, especially at the beginning, once you've developed the system in which you can track your income, you can track your activity, and you know consistently what you can typically bring in, then you can start putting aside a little bit extra to spend on fun stuff, things for yourself. But that's got to be last if you don't want to go broke.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake is you come up. You feel like you won the lotto in your first few sales, right? You have a windfall of money, And first thing you think about is you're celebrating. You're celebrating, where can we spend this money? Did we go to Disneyland? Did we go places? Did we go to a different country? Get new hotels? Something like that.
Steak dinner every night.
Steak dinner.
Steak and lobster.
Right?
Let's go.
Celebration, because you were thinking, oh, more money will come. Well, let's plan for more money to come, right? So you have due dates on your bills, right? This is due then. This is due then. So think about what is the fastest generating income that you can get. So if you can buy leads on a Monday or on a Thursday and you can make profit on the weekend and make more money Tuesday, Wednesday, I would reallocate that on the business. So just understand, figure out your bills. How much do I need to get paid basically as a personal individual to take care of myself, my bills, my family? And then how much does the business need to keep going, right? So you'll formulate your numbers as far as your lead expense, what type of leads, what generates the highest return of investment on leads. And they always say do two separate bank accounts, right?
That's a good piece of advice that I didn't think about till I came here. And I went to some conference and heard one of the VPs talk about that. So you should create a personal account and then create a business account, have everything go into your business account and just pay yourself, and only spend that. Everything else is for your business, and your business expenses need to be a lot more than your personal expenses at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know the point about that.
LLC or anything?
No, nothing that complex.
Okay.
It's more about the spending. But keep going. Maybe it'll come to me.
Yeah, you spend. You pay your bills, and then you keep that money stashed into the business account, so it doesn't feel like it's your money. Right, so that would be
I heard that from Stephen, right?
Stephen, Trey.
Anyone smart.
Yeah.
Anyone smart. Anyone that's made money. Because if you don't do it, you're going to be in a terrible.
Yeah, because if it's in your
position.
checking account, in your personal checking account, you're thinking that's your discretionary money,
right?
Instead of the bill for the business,
right?
So, and then as you level up, you get to figure out, okay, what am I missing? Do I need to put more time? Do I need more investments? So you can increase your return of investment into it.
Oh, I thought about what I was going to say. So
yeah,
first of all, you got to figure out your personal expenses first. So, actually do this, like sit down and then write out all your monthly expenses, your monthly fixed expenses, and then just get your bottom line minimum monthly nut that you need to hit every single month, because that's how much you need to make at the very minimum.
Yeah. Food, grocery, all these things.
Right. So that's the bare minimum. So if you actually need to write it out, if you want to treat it like a real business, if you don't do that, you don't know where your money's going. You don't know how much you need. Don't know how much you need to work. You don't have a business. You just have a hobby.
Right.
So do that first. Write it all down. So you know what the bottom line minimum drop dead number has to be, and then from that point, then you can you figure out how quickly do I want to grow my business. If I want to scale to this point, how much more time do I need to put into this? How many more leads do I need to get? How many more appointments I need to run? So start off, but it all starts off with what your personal monthly net is.
Yeah. Going into that, we learned this from the old company. We used to call it our MROs. So you have your minimum, your realistic, and then you have your optimistic goals of income, right? So the minimum you need to do, let's throw a number, let's say 5,000 or 6,000. So then you got to reverse engineer, how many sales do I need to make that 5,000? Okay. So let's say we call it 5 families. Well, that's your minimum nut. You need to be selling 5 families a month just to get by. Then you look at your realistic. Realistically, if I want to live comfortable, I want to have discretionary income, I want to be able to do things for me and my family, what would be the target realistic goal that you would want? Let's say it's double. Let's say you want it at 15,000 or 10,000. Okay. Now you reverse engineer what you need for 10 or 15, right? And then optimistic is where you really want to see yourself and to shoot for, to where you're feeling balling, right? You're feeling like, okay, I'm feeling good. I got, some extra funds and I can do a lot of things with it. So what would be your optimistic goal? So now you have these targets, you shoot for the O, you land on the R, you're okay. But if you start shooting for the R and you land on the minimum, at least your bills are paid. So figure all that out with your bill expense, your personal expense, and everything else. Any other things that we missed? Okay.
No, good question.
I think you guys covered that pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm
setting up their banks.
I'm gonna finish off with the last question into the business. So it's thinking bigger about the business. Is there anything that you guys feel like key areas in our industry, especially in the life insurance industry, that is either overlooked, not spoken about enough, or missing any creative ideas that agents can have using, their circle of influence, their relationships, or their network?
I think the recruiting aspect of it, I think that's far overlooked, because a lot of times people just think, I need to come in and figure out my business. Excuse me. You need to figure it out. You'd write some business, make some money. But then the thing is, like, people are like, I always want to make more money. But then if I'm struggling at a certain thing, or I'm not picking things up as quickly as possible, that thought process of I need to learn everything before I bring people in, that's working against you.
Okay.
Because the thing is, if you start recruiting right away, we got to put our ego aside and just be like, I'm not picking it up right away. It doesn't mean this doesn't work, because other people are making money. So maybe it's me, but so I could bring other people in and who hopefully are actually better than I am. Yeah. Like I've always wanted that, because that just means my business is growing.
Yeah.
I don't need, it's not mostly predicated on my abilities and my strengths and my efforts. If I bring in a bunch of people that are better than I am, then the thing is, cool. Like, we're all winning.
Yeah. And not just that, that's less work.
Right. Or I can learn stuff from them.
Level you up.
We can exponentially build our efforts together if we can find a way to work together to like maximize our abilities and our efforts.
Yeah. Any input on yours? Creative side aspects of the business that may have been left off or not looked into?
Like the new agents?
Anything just business wise overall.
I would probably say I would agree with what Albert's saying in terms of like the recruiting aspect of things, just because I see that we do have a lot of agents, even within our agency, but not everybody is recruiting, or not everybody is growing, or in that way. But I do think that kind of like what Albert was saying, even if you don't know everything about the business, you still have the opportunity to continue to grow your agency individually, right? So, so I think that that's another opportunity that, people should be looking at, that if you can be making like extra money, and you can be, getting all of these other benefits by having a downline and by building an agency. So, I think that that's definitely a point that is overlooked within the agency for sure.
Yeah, for me, I would say tapping into your network more. We do have a system. We have the leads. We have the training to contact the leads and flip the leads into sales and make money out of it. But the networking side of wherever you already have a good relationship with friends in their specific industry, or a collaboration with our life insurance industry. Just think about all the people that that are in the market for a side job, or they have a network where people don't have life insurance. They could have a business where no one has life insurance. Well, you can collaborate and help them out. Or you can get that agent that individual to be an agent, right? And then they may be in a different sales field, but they want to make more extra income. Well, if you collaborate with them, get them licensed or get them referred, there's a lot of options that can happen that way.
Question. So, because you're mentioning networking, but I'm thinking, okay, so a lot of our agents are working virtually, right? So how can they better network? So if I would say probably like using their social media more.
Social media,
doing a lot,
happenstance,
right?
But they still have friends, and they still have family and people that they've never thought about in this manner.
Yeah, like think about Antonio on the other day, or just this morning. He got to talk to an annuity client because of basketball at the gym, right? So how often do you really see yourself talking about your business outside of us, right? So if you just keep bringing that up, hey, I do life insurance, I train, I manage, I recruit nationwide. Like
be your own walking lead,
Right? Be your own marketer.
Talk about your business. That's what you're doing. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. They should definitely feel more comfortable in speaking about what they're doing and owning their roles as insurance brokers or agency owners, for sure.
Instead of just like the field underwriter.
Yeah. Or instead of not letting people what you guys actually do, which is protect people and protect families. A lot of people, I think I've kind of seen it too within our industry, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a life insurance agent, but like sometimes their family doesn't even know that they are actually brokers and stuff like that. So
especially birthday parties.
Yeah, you make a good point when it comes down to networking. Yeah, people should feel more comfortable in networking and promoting their own business.
Well, I think sometimes there's an awkwardness about it, which Trey's coming on our podcast later today. He's great at recruiting, and he has some really novel approaches in terms of like, hey, I know you're already good, and you're probably way too qualified to do something like this. But hey, could you? I really trust value your opinion. Could you send? I'm gonna send you a video to have you check it out, and you can let me know what your thoughts are on it, so I can better do my job. Right. And then so I mean, like that's a very easy way to approach it.
It's a soft approach of networking and marketing your product to someone else that could market it to someone else.
Right.
Yeah. But think about your social media approach too, because it started, we just keep promoting, but soon enough, people see us on TikTok, see us on Instagram, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know you do life insurance." I got a friend that started asking me for quotes because they were just unhappy. They just bought a policy for their mom with the broker, but the broker and her were having like personality conflicts. And it was just so funny. I just went on Instagram and I saw your post talking about life insurance. I just asked you about this. So I want a quote for my husband and soon enough for me and my brother. Too bad I can't cancel my mom and dad's because past 30 days. That's like, it is what it is. But future business happens when you network and you put yourself out there.
Yeah, we need to get Antonio on to kind of see how he approached that client, because if he's playing ball with him and then somehow got into annuities, it was like crossover, hezzy, jump shot in your face, come get this work. Oh, by the way, there's annuity.
What do you do? I protect your assets, man. I guard your assets like I'm busting your butt. I'm defending you right now. So that's all the time we got. Thanks for joining us. If you guys like this, please watch us on Elite Clips on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We're gonna grow that. So we'll see you guys next week. And please share it and make a comment. Have a good day.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you guys want to subscribe, click here. If you want to watch the next video, click here.